It's now time to head over to Folkways FM, where apparently the crew are moored in Port Bannatyne Marina. They've been getting in a good few rounds at the Anchor pub. Less said about that, the better. So without further ado, let's try and pick them up. September from Septem 7. September being the original 7th month of the old Roman calendar. September replaced Helig Monath and Hirfest Monath in Old English, names meaning the holy month Helig Monath and harvest month Hirfest Monath. Scots Gaelic, Intultine, Irish, Manfor, Manx, Meanflower, Welsh, Meddi, Cornish, Mis Gwyngalar. The autumnal equinox approaches, such being the time when the sun is directly over the equator, resulting in equal lengths of day and night, the scales momentarily in perfect balance. According to the astronomical definition of the seasons, the autumnal equinox signifies the official start of autumn, which continues until the winter solstice. If you wish to be precise, if you're in these northerly isles, this year the equinox occurs on Sunday the 22nd of September at 1:43 p.m. It's a Sunday, so it's a good opportunity to plan a walk if you like, and to enjoy the temporary feeling of night and day being perfectly mirrored. There's nothing like autumn, is there? As soon as August hit, I felt the change in the wind. Did you? Even though it was still summer, I could feel the change from July. There was a freshness in the air. But my God, as soon as September hit this year, you must have felt it too. There was a real chill. It felt like autumn had arrived overnight. I love spring and autumn just because I love the feeling of movement. The peak of summer and winter can have a sense of being static. In the depths of winter, say January the 10th, it can feel like it'll be winter forever. Every day, weather-wise, can feel very much the same. But spring and autumn, bringing in these peaks of high and low temperatures, every day, yeah, it just has this sense of the world moving, of motion. The growth of spring and the retraction of autumn are intoxicating. It's good to become intoxicated by the world again, isn't it? Our senses can be very much dulled just through the grind of life, of routine. So yeah, this is the perfect time of the year to become intoxicated with this movement, this stirring, this colour. Symbolism-wise, the image that came to me as I was thinking of this time of year, especially the equinox, was of us holding a loaf of bread under our arm, the fruits of Lammas or Lunasa from August. And yeah, as we hold this loaf of bread, we walk a winding lane that in the distance takes us to the burial mounds, tombs of the ancestors, Samhain or Halloween. We can see the mounds in the distance, which we will have reached by the end of October. In the meantime, we walk this increasingly richly coloured lane as September picks up speed, leaves falling across the path, squashes beginning to ripen in the fields we pass. We are happily, gently descending in the direction of the underworld. If you woke up in Sunderland, northeast England today, you saw the sun rise at 6:23 and set at 19:41. Swansea, South Wales, sunrise 6:38 and set 19:47. And Sligo, sunrise 6:53 and set at 20:09, giving days of around 13 hours of sunlight at the moment. You can really start to feel it slipping away, can't you? On September the 18th, it is the full moon, which is also a supermoon. Names for this month's moon are Harvest Moon, Wine Moon, and the Song Moon from around these isles. At this time, for several evenings, the moonrise comes soon after sunset. This results in an abundance of bright moonlight early in the evening, which was a traditional aid to farmers harvesting their crops. Looking at the heavens this month, enjoy the autumnal constellations of Andromeda, Perseus and Auriga, which can be seen rising in the east soon after dark. High overhead by midnight, the summer constellation of Cygnus has now given way to the constellation of Cassiopeia, which looks distinctively W-shaped. In the hedgerows, find wild raspberries, wild strawberries, rose hips, and of course those sloes, which I'm sure you've seen loads of recently. If you're looking to put your fingers to use this month, sow hardy greens such as kale, landcress, pak choi, lamb's lettuce and mustard for winter pickings. And pot up herbs such as chives and parsley and place on a sunny windowsill to use during winter. This is something my second cousin, the Folkways presenter, really needs to do. You can also cut away any leaves covering the fruits of pumpkin, squash and marrows to help the skin ripen in the sun. And of course, pick those apples and pears before the wind blows them down and store undamaged fruits if you can't eat them fresh. I've been enjoying really deep-filled crumbles recently, where I've just put so many apples into the dish and squashed them down. Absolutely beautiful with a bit of cinnamon and a few currants. Today's place of the month is a very interesting one, the ruins of St Trothans Church, also called Old Olrig Kirk in Castletown, Scotland. Here there is said to be a grave of a Selkie, the mythical seal folk said to be able to transform into humans. These are the words written on a board on the cemetery gate retelling the legend. Quote, "A medieval church existed on the site of Old Olrig Church, and is thought that it may have been dedicated to St Trothans, or Trothians, I'm not sure. The date 1633 and the initials of the then minister David Bruce are visible on the northwest gable of the surviving structure. Despite the influence of the church, many legends have persisted in this area. The churchyard before you is the site of the legend of the Selkie woman. It is said that one day an old fisherman found a baby girl wrapped in a sealskin on the beach. He and his wife raised the girl as their own. But as a child, she was banished from this church after claiming to have seen the devil lurking in the rafters. Perhaps Selkieism gives one second sight. Later, the board continues, she died tragically in childbirth herself, and a small hollow on the stone which covers her grave is said to never dry out. The name Olrig comes from Old Norse, meaning son of Eric, dating back to when Caithness, this region in the extreme north of Scotland, was part of Norway, along with Orkney and Shetland. Of course, the church would have had a significant impact on local life during the history of this area, and legends and stories were widespread. The ruins of St Trothans are now concealed among the trees. This, along with the overgrown ivy, which seems determined to reclaim the ruins, gives the area a certain atmosphere. While the roads and church are clearly signposted, locating the specific Selkie grave requires some assistance. So as you enter the cemetery gates, head straight ahead and then turn towards the ruins. The more noticeable so-called pirate graves lie flat on the ground, marked with skull and crossbones, you'll see. They are located about 2 or 3 rows away from the old church, and they are close to the Selkie grave. So the grave itself is tiny, child-sized smaller, with a peculiar hollow in the stone covering it. The hollow in the stone, is said to never dry out, and it's also believed that if you place your foot in the hole and make a wish, that it will come true, or that it will rain, depending on who's telling you the legend. So September's place of the month is the eerie ruins of old Olrig Kirk Castletown, and its peculiar tiny grave, which, in the legend attached to it, preserves this strong Northern European belief in these daughters of the seals, the Selkies.